Hey everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling how to measure the effectiveness of your digital communication strategy. It can be a tricky thing to get right, but we've got a great article to help us break it all down. It's called Comment mesurer l'efficacité de votre stratégie de communication numérique, which translates to how to measure the effectiveness of your digital communication strategy.
And it's full of great tips and tricks that you can put into practice right away.
You'll definitely want to stick around for this one because we're going way beyond just vanity metrics like, likes and follows. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of what really matters when it comes to measuring your digital communication success.
That's right. We're talking about those juicy insights that can help you make smarter decisions and actually move the needle.
Exactly. And the article kicks off by talking about SMART goals, something a lot of you have probably heard of.
Oh, yeah. SMART goals are like the bread and butter of effective goal setting.
But what really caught my eye was how the article connected SMART goals to your business objectives. It's not just about setting random targets, it's about aligning your digital communication with the bigger picture.
That's a crucial point. The article gave a really great example. Instead of aiming for something vague like more website visits, you want to get specific, like increasing organic traffic by 25% over the next 6 months.
I like that. So you're not just measuring activity, you're measuring impact.
Exactly. It's about outcomes, baby.
Okay, so we've got our SMART goals in place. What's next?
Well, the article dives into something I find super fascinating: website visitor behavior.
Yeah, it talks about things like time spent on pages and navigation paths. It's like we're trying to understand the story behind each click.
It really is. And you know what's amazing? These metrics can reveal so much about user experience. Let's say you've got a page with a high bounce rate, but the people who do stay are spending a ton of time there. If you analyze their navigation paths, you might find out that the layout is confusing or the call to action isn't clear.
So you could use that data to make design improvements.
Bingo! It's not about just collecting the data. It's about using it to actually make things better for your users.
Love that. The article then shifts gears to social media. And it really pushes back against this obsession with vanity metrics. It argues that true engagement goes way beyond just, likes and shares.
Preach. I couldn't agree more.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think a handful of thoughtful comments or shares that spark genuine conversation can be way more valuable than hundreds of superficial reactions.
So it's about quality over quantity.
For sure. The key is to look at the quality of engagement and how it aligns with your goals. Are you fostering a sense of community, driving traffic to your website, generating leads? The metrics you track should reflect what you're trying to achieve.
So it's about digging deeper and understanding what those numbers actually represent.
100%. It's not just about the what, it's about the why.
And speaking of digging deeper, the article also highlights the importance of data analysis. It's not enough to just collect data. We need to know how to interpret it and extract meaningful insights.
Absolutely. It's about finding those golden nuggets of knowledge hidden within the data.
The article uses a really good example with email newsletters. A 25% open rate might seem average at first glance.
Right. But if you look closer at the click-through rates and conversions, you might find that it's driving some serious results. Maybe it's reaching a really targeted audience who are actually taking action.
It changes the whole picture, right?
Absolutely. Context is everything when it comes to data analysis.
And I love how the article suggests 3 approaches to analysis.
Yeah, those are super helpful. Let's break them down.
The first one is personalized dashboards. What exactly are those?
Personalized dashboards are essentially customized views of your data that highlight the metrics that are most relevant to your specific goals. They give you a quick snapshot of performance and allow you to spot trends and anomalies right away.
So it's like having a command center for your digital communication strategy.
Exactly. Imagine having a dashboard that shows you all your key website metrics alongside your social media engagement and email campaign performance.
You'd be able to quickly see what's working and where you need to make adjustments.
Right. It's all about getting that bird's eye view of your digital presence.
The next approach is comparing periods. What's the point of tracking data over time?
Comparing periods, whether it's month over month, year over year, or even specific campaign periods, helps you understand the impact of your efforts and see any seasonal trends.
So it's about understanding those patterns and trends in your data.
Exactly. It allows you to answer questions like, is my website traffic growing consistently? Did that new social media campaign have a lasting effect? Or even, are we seeing a dip in engagement during certain months of the year?
The final approach mentioned is qualitative feedback. What exactly does that mean and why is it so important?
Qualitative feedback is all about going beyond the numbers and tapping into the human element of your digital communication. It's about listening to what your audience is actually saying.
So like comments on your blog posts, direct messages on social media, feedback from your own team.
Exactly. This feedback can give you some super valuable insights into what resonates with your audience, what might be confusing or off-putting, and even what they're craving more of.
Like getting the why behind the numbers.
Exactly. Numbers can tell you what's happening, but qualitative feedback can tell you why it's happening.
This reminds me of something the article mentioned earlier about looking beyond the numbers. Let's say you have a 5% engagement rate on a social media post,
Yeah, that might seem low at first.
but it actually represents real people who have chosen to interact with your content.
That's a really important point to remember. It's easy to get caught up in percentages and forget that we're communicating with real people who have their own thoughts, feelings, and motivations.
So it's about finding that balance between data analysis and human understanding.
Right. We need both the numbers and the stories behind those numbers to create truly effective communication.
The article also emphasizes that measuring your digital communication isn't a one-time task. It's an ongoing journey of learning and improvement.
It's about being adaptable and responsive to the ever-changing digital world. We got to constantly analyze, tweak, and refine our approach based on the data we're gathering and the feedback we're receiving.
It makes you realize that this isn't about achieving some kind of digital marketing perfection. It's about continuously learning and evolving.
100%. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
The article really drives this home with a specific example from LinkedIn. Let's say you're seeing engagement on your posts decline. Instead of freaking out and doing a complete overhaul of your strategy, what does the article suggest?
It encourages a more strategic approach, focusing on incremental adjustments rather than massive changes. Maybe you experiment with different content formats, vary your posting times, or even tweak the tone of your messages.
It's about those smaller tweaks that can have a big impact over time.
You got it. It's all about making data-driven decisions, but also trusting your gut and being willing to experiment.
So it's not just about analyzing the data, but also about taking action.
Right. Action is key.
And to help us with that, the article conveniently provides a list of tools.
Oh, yeah, that's super helpful. What are some of the key ones?
Well, it covers the essentials, like Google Analytics, for getting those super in-depth website insights.
Oh, yeah, Google Analytics is a must-have for any digital marketer.
And then there are the built-in analytics tools that come with most social media platforms.
Those can be super helpful for tracking basic engagement metrics like likes, shares, and comments.
But they also mention some other tools that can really streamline your analysis, like social media management platforms such as Hootsuite or Buffer.
Those are great for bringing all your data into one central location so you can get a more holistic view of your digital presence.
That's really useful for seeing the big picture. And of course, they mention email marketing platforms, which are jam-packed with valuable campaign data.
Email marketing is still such a powerful tool, and those platforms give you a ton of insights into how your campaigns are performing.
This article does such a great job of balancing the practical side of measurement with those bigger picture reminders about the human element. There was a line that really stuck with me. It said, "A 5% engagement rate might seem small, but it represents real people who have chosen to invest their time and attention in your content." I feel like that's something we often forget in the digital world.
I know, it's so easy to get caught up in the metrics and lose sight of the fact that we're actually communicating with real people. Each click, each comment, each email open represents a person who has taken the time to engage with what you've created.
And that's what makes digital communication so powerful. It's a chance to connect with people on a personal level, build relationships, and make a real impact.
Absolutely. That's why I love what I do.
And that's what makes this whole conversation about measurement so important. It's not about chasing vanity metrics or obsessing over numbers. It's about understanding how those numbers reflect real human interactions and using that understanding to create a more meaningful and impactful digital presence.
It's about using data to connect with people on a deeper level.
The article emphasizes that measuring your digital communication is an ongoing journey, but they also offer some great practical advice on how to stay on track and make sure you're actually making progress. Did you catch that pro tip they shared?
Oh, yeah, I loved that one.
What was it again?
They suggested blocking out dedicated time each month for a deep dive into your digital communication performance, like a monthly checkup for your strategy.
I love that. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day whirlwind of digital marketing and just let that analysis fall by the wayside.
It happens to the best of us. But by scheduling that time, you're prioritizing reflection and strategic thinking, which are both crucial for long-term success.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening. I think the article does a great job of connecting everything. The data analysis, the human element and those business goals. It's not just about measuring for the sake of measuring. It's about using those insights to drive real results.
Agreed. It's about making sure your digital efforts are aligned with your bigger vision.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
You hit me with it.
We've talked a lot about how to measure your digital communication strategy. But the question I want you to consider is, how can you use those insights to not only measure, but also truly enhance your strategy?
That's a great question. It's something we all need to be thinking about.
How can you move beyond just tracking metrics and start using those insights to craft a more engaging, more effective, and more impactful digital communication strategy?
Because at the end of the day, it's not about the numbers, it's about the people.
That's the challenge I want to leave you with today.
I think that's a great place to wrap things up for this part of our deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore.
So make sure you stay tuned for the next part, where we'll be diving even deeper into the world of digital communication measurement.
And remember, it's not about achieving perfection. It's about constant learning and improvement.
So keep experimenting, keep analyzing, and keep that human connection at the heart of everything you do in the digital world.
We'll catch you in the next part. Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of our deep dive into digital communication measurement.
We're picking up right where we left off, folks. So if you missed part 1, make sure to go back and give it a listen.
We're talking all about how to measure the success of your digital strategies and make sure your efforts are actually paying off.
It's not just about vanity metrics anymore.
Exactly. We need to go deeper and look at the metrics that really matter.
And that's exactly what we're going to do in this part of the deep dive.
We've got a lot to cover, so let's jump right in.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
In the last part, we talked about the importance of setting smart goals and understanding your website visitor behavior.
Right. And we also touched on the need to look beyond vanity metrics on social media.
Now, I want to dive a bit deeper into data analysis because, as we all know, data is only useful if we know how to interpret it.
Absolutely. It's about turning those numbers into actionable insights.
The article we're discussing today highlights 3 key approaches to data analysis.
And we're going to break those down for you step by step.
The first approach is using personalized dashboards.
Dashboards are a great way to visualize your data and see the big picture at a glance.
What exactly are personalized dashboards?
Well, they're essentially customized views of your data that show you the metrics that are most relevant to your specific goals. You can track things like website traffic, social media engagement, email open rates, and so much more.
So instead of being overwhelmed by a ton of data, you can focus on the metrics that really matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about cutting through the noise and getting to the heart of what's working and what's not.
The second approach is comparing periods. Why is it so important to track data over time?
Comparing periods like month over month or year over year can reveal some really interesting trends.
Like seasonal fluctuations.
Exactly. You might find that your website traffic spikes during certain months of the year, or that your social media engagement drops off during the holidays.
That kind of information can help you adjust your strategy accordingly.
Right. It's all about understanding those patterns and using them to your advantage.
The third and final approach is qualitative feedback.
Ah, yes, the human touch.
What exactly does that entail?
Qualitative feedback is about going beyond the numbers and actually listening to what your audience is saying.
So things like reading comments on your blog posts, monitoring social media mentions, and talking to your customers.
Exactly. It's about getting those real-world insights that can help you understand the why behind the numbers.
Because sometimes the numbers don't tell the whole story.
Right. You might have a high click-through rate on an ad, but if people are clicking through and then immediately bouncing off your website, that's a sign that something's not working.
So it's important to get that feedback and figure out what's going on.
Qualitative feedback can help you identify areas for improvement and make sure your message is resonating with your target audience.
I love that. The article reminds us that a 5% engagement rate might seem small, but it represents real people who have chosen to interact with your content.
That's such an important point to remember. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, but we need to remember that there are human beings on the other side of those screens.
Each comment, each share represents a person who has taken the time to engage with what you've created.
And that's what makes digital communication so powerful.
It's not just about broadcasting your message, it's about building relationships and having real conversations.
Right. It's about creating a community around your brand.
And that's why measurement is so important.
Yeah.
Because it helps us understand how those interactions are happening and how we can improve our strategy to foster even deeper connections.
It's about using data to humanize our digital communication.
The article emphasizes that measuring your digital communication is an ongoing journey
It's not a one-time thing. It's something you need to be doing constantly.
because the digital world is constantly evolving.
Right, and we need to evolve with it.
The article suggests setting aside dedicated time each month for a deep dive into your digital communication performance.
Like a monthly checkup for your strategy.
I love that analogy. It's so important to take a step back from the day-to-day hustle and really assess how things are going.
Because if you're not measuring, you're not improving.
Now let's talk about some of the tools that can help you measure your digital communication effectiveness.
Oh yeah, there are so many great tools out there.
The article mentions a few essentials, like Google Analytics.
Google Analytics is like the holy grail of website data. It gives you so much information about your website traffic, user behavior, and more.
It's definitely a must-have for any digital marketer.
Agreed. And then you've got the built-in analytics tools that come with most social media platforms.
Those can be really helpful for tracking basic engagement metrics.
Yeah, things like likes, shares, and comments.
But they also mention some more advanced tools like social media management platforms such as Hootsuite or Buffer.
Those are great for managing multiple social media accounts from one central location. And they also provide some really robust analytics features.
And of course, we can't forget about email marketing platforms.
Email marketing is still such a powerful channel, and those platforms give you a ton of data about your campaigns.
You can see things like open rates, click-through rates, and conversion rates.
It's all about tracking the metrics that matter most to your business goals.
This article does a fantastic job of balancing the practical aspects of measurement with those bigger picture reminders about the human element.
It's not just about the numbers, it's about the people behind those numbers.
Remember that 5% engagement rate.
Yeah, those are real people who have chosen to spend their time and attention on your content.
And that's something we should never take for granted.
We need to treat our audience with respect and create content that is valuable to them.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about chasing vanity metrics. It's about building meaningful relationships with your audience and making a positive impact on the world.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with another thought-provoking question.
Okay, I'm all ears.
We've talked about a lot of different ways to measure your digital communication effectiveness, but the real question is, how can you use those insights to not only measure your strategy, but also improve it?
It's about going beyond just tracking the numbers and actually using those insights to make changes that will drive better results.
How can you take what you've learned and use it to create a more engaging, more effective, and more impactful digital communication strategy?
That's the challenge I'm leaving you with today.
Keep thinking about it as we move on to the final part of our deep dive.
We've got even more insights to share, so don't go anywhere.
And welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into measuring the effectiveness of your digital communication strategy.
We've covered a lot of ground so far,
But I think this is where it all comes together.
right where the rubber meets the road.
In the last two parts, we talked about setting smart goals, understanding website visitor behavior, analyzing data, and even getting qualitative feedback.
We've also touched on the importance of looking beyond vanity metrics and really understanding the human element of digital communication.
Now it's time to put all of that into action.
It's about taking what we've learned and using it to create a more strategic and effective digital communication plan.
The article we've been discussing today emphasizes the importance of continuous improvement.
It's not a one-and-done kind of thing.
It's about constantly analyzing, tweaking, and refining your approach based on the data you're gathering and the feedback you're receiving.
It's a journey, not a destination.
And the article offers some really practical advice on how to stay on track and make sure you're actually making progress.
Like setting aside dedicated time each month for a deep dive into your digital communication performance.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's like a monthly checkup for your strategy.
Exactly. It gives you a chance to step back from the day-to-day grind and really assess how things are going.
And make any necessary adjustments.
Right. It's about being proactive rather than reactive.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a few key takeaways.
Okay, shoot.
First and foremost, remember that measuring your digital communication is not about vanity metrics.
It's about the metrics that matter to your business goals.
Whether that's increasing website traffic, generating leads, or building brand awareness.
Right. Track the metrics that will actually move the needle.
Second, don't be afraid to experiment.
The digital world is constantly changing, so what works today might not work tomorrow.
Try new things, test different approaches, and see what resonates with your audience.
And don't be afraid to fail.
That's how we learn and grow.
Exactly. Failure is just a stepping stone to success.
Third, and finally, remember the human element.
Behind every click, every comment is a real person.
Treat your audience with respect and create content that is valuable to them.
Build relationships, foster community, and make a positive impact on the world.
That's what truly effective digital communication is all about.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought,
I know it has for me.
and that you'll walk away with some practical tips and strategies that you can implement in your own digital communication efforts.
So go out there and make some magic.
And keep measuring your progress along the way.
Because what gets measured gets improved.
Until next time, happy communicating.
See you later, folks.